Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about something that touches us all at some point in life, the moment when someone stops valuing who we are. It could be a friend, a partner, a boss, or even a family member. That moment stings, doesn't it? You start questioning yourself. Am I not good enough? Did I do something wrong? But let me tell you something powerful. Their inability to see your value does not diminish it. Your worth is not like a stock price that rises and falls depending on someone else's opinion. It's steady. It's solid. It's yours. Here's the simple trick I'm going to share with you. Ready? Stop chasing them. It's that simple. Stop pouring your energy, your time, and your love into someone who won't even hold out a hand to catch it. Pull back, because let me tell you what happens when you do this. People notice absence more than they notice presence. When you remove yourself from a situation where you are undervalued, you leave a void. And that void speaks louder than you ever could. Your value is not determined by how others perceive you, and that's a truth we often forget in moments of doubt and rejection. When someone stops valuing you, it's natural to feel hurt, question yourself, or even wonder what you could have done differently. But here's the reality: your worth is intrinsic. It exists independently of anyone else's acknowledgement or approval. It's like a diamond buried deep in the earth. Its brilliance isn't diminished just because someone doesn't dig deep enough to find it. The problem is, we live in a world where external validation is often mistaken for self-worth. Compliments, recognition, or someone's time and attention can feel like the proof we need that we matter. But what happens when those external affirmations stop? If you rely solely on others to define your value, you risk losing sight of it when they stop noticing or appreciating you. That's why understanding that your worth comes from within is crucial. Think of your value as a flame that burns within you. It doesn't matter if someone else chooses to sit by your fire to feel its warmth. The flame is still there, burning strong. Sometimes people walk away because they don't realize how much that fire meant to them. Sometimes they never valued it in the first place. Either way, it doesn't mean the flame is any less bright. When you truly embrace this, you stop seeking approval or chasing after those who can't see your value. Instead, you start focusing on nurturing yourself. You give yourself the love, respect, and care you deserve, regardless of whether others reciprocate. This shift in perspective is transformative. It allows you to stand tall, even in the face of rejection or indifference. Your value isn't tied to the roles you play in other people's lives. Whether you're a friend, a partner, a colleague, or even a stranger, your worth isn't dependent on how someone else chooses to see you in those roles. You're valuable simply because you exist, because of the unique qualities, experiences, and perspectives that make you who you are. Understanding this truth empowers you to walk away from situations where you're not valued. It helps you set boundaries and demand respect. It allows you to prioritize relationships and opportunities that align with your sense of self-worth. Most importantly, it liberates you from the endless cycle of trying to prove your value to those who can't or won't see it. The moment you stop tying your value to external factors, you become unshakable. Rejection might sting, but it won't break you. Criticism might challenge you, but it won't define you. When you know your worth from within, you carry it with you everywhere you go. It becomes your foundation, your strength, and your compass. Others may or may not see it, but that doesn't matter. You see it, and that's enough. Your energy is one of your most valuable resources, and where you direct it reveals what matters most to you. It reflects your priorities, whether you're consciously aware of them or not. When someone doesn't value you, continuing to invest your time, energy, and emotional resources into that person sends a message both to them and to yourself that their approval or validation is your priority. But what if you redirected that energy instead? What if you chose to focus it on people, goals, and pursuits that truly deserve your attention? Energy is finite. You only have so much to give in a day, in a week, in a lifetime. When you spend that energy on someone who undervalues you, it creates an imbalance. You're pouring into a cup that never fills while neglecting other cups, your passions, your well-being, your relationships with people who actually appreciate you. Over time, this imbalance can leave you drained, questioning your worth, and feeling unfulfilled. But the truth is, the problem isn't with your energy, it's with where it's going. By redirecting your energy, you reclaim your power. This doesn't mean you stop caring about others or give up on meaningful relationships. It means you become intentional about who and what deserves your focus. When someone doesn't value you, it's not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their ability to see it. Continuing to give your energy to someone who doesn't reciprocate only perpetuates their lack of appreciation. On the other hand, pulling back allows you to refocus on areas that truly align with your self-worth. Think of energy as water flowing through a garden. If you water only the weeds, they'll thrive while the flowers wither. But when you shift your attention to the flowers, the relationships, goals, and aspects of life that nurture and uplift you, you create a beautiful, thriving space. This principle applies to every area of your life. By redirecting your energy to where it's valued and appreciated, you cultivate growth and positivity. When you prioritize yourself and those who genuinely value you, you send a powerful message to the world you know your worth. This shift often triggers surprising results. Sometimes the person who undervalued you will begin to notice your absence. They may realize what they've lost and seek to reestablish the connection. But even if they don't, you'll find that you're no longer fixated on their approval. Instead, your energy is fueling personal growth, stronger connections, and a greater sense of purpose. Redirecting your energy is not an act of spite or resentment, it's an act of self-respect. It's a declaration that your time and effort are precious and will not be wasted on those who fail to see their value. By making this shift, you create space for relationships, opportunities, and experiences that align with your true priorities. Over time, this choice will transform your life, allowing you to thrive in ways you never thought possible. Silence is one of the most underrated yet powerful tools you have when someone doesn't value you. Often when we feel undervalued or dismissed, our instinct is to explain ourselves, plead for attention, or demand the respect we deserve. But here's the truth: words alone rarely change someone's perception. Instead, silence can speak volumes in ways that words cannot. It shifts the dynamic, commands attention, and forces the other person to confront your absence rather than take your presence for granted. When someone undervalues you, stepping back and embracing silence is not about punishment or manipulation. It's about preserving your dignity and showing restraint. Silence communicates strength because it demonstrates that you are not desperate for validation. It says, I respect myself enough to step away from this situation instead of trying to convince you of my worth in a world that thrives on noise, constant texts, calls, and explanations. Choosing silence can be a powerful statement. Silence creates space, and in that space, clarity emerges. For you, it allows time to process your emotions, reflect on the situation, and decide what's truly best for you. It's an opportunity to reconnect with yourself, free from the distractions of trying to change someone else's behavior. For the other person, your silence can act as a mirror, forcing them to confront the void left by your absence. People often take presence for granted until it's gone. Silence removes the convenience of having you readily available, making them realize what they've overlooked. Silence breaks patterns. When you continuously give, explain, or seek recognition, it creates an expectation that you'll always be there, regardless of how you're treated. By stepping back and saying nothing, you disrupt that cycle. You establish boundaries without uttering a single word. And boundaries are crucial for maintaining your self-respect and teaching others how to treat you. Some may interpret silence as indifference or weakness, but in reality, it's a profound act of self-control. It takes strength to resist the urge to explain yourself or seek closure from someone who may not be willing to give it. Silence shows that you trust in your own value, even if someone else fails to acknowledge it. It says, I don't need your validation to know my worth. What happens next can be surprising. Some people will recognize their mistake and seek to rebuild the connection. Others may drift away, confirming that they never truly valued you in the first place. Either outcome is a win for you because silence helps reveal the truth about relationships. It exposes who is willing to respect your boundaries and who is not. Silence is not about withdrawing from the world, but about withdrawing from situations and people that don't serve your growth. It's about creating space for yourself to heal, grow, and focus on what truly matters. By choosing silence when undervalued, you reclaim your power, preserve your dignity, and allow your absence to speak the words your presence no longer needs to. Setting boundaries is one of the most empowering steps you can take when someone doesn't value you. Boundaries are not walls that shut people out, but clear guidelines that protect your energy, time, and emotional well-being. They communicate what you will and will not tolerate, ensuring that you remain true to yourself even in challenging relationships. Without boundaries, you risk becoming overextended, resentful, or stuck in situations where your value isn't recognized. When someone doesn't value you, It can feel tempting to overcompensate, offering more of your time, attention, or energy in hopes of proving your worth. But this only reinforces the imbalance. The more you give without receiving respect or reciprocity, the more your self-esteem suffers. Boundaries, on the other hand, serve as a reminder to you and to others that you respect yourself enough to protect what is important. They help you define where your responsibilities end and someone else's begin. Establishing boundaries begins with self-awareness. Take the time to reflect on how the other person's behavior makes you feel and why. Are you constantly drained after interacting with them? Do you feel overlooked or dismissed? Once you've identified the problem, ask yourself what you need to feel valued and respected. This clarity will guide you in setting specific and actionable boundaries. Communicating your boundaries can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're not used to advocating for yourself. But remember, boundaries are not about controlling others, they're about expressing your needs. For example, if someone repeatedly disrespects your time, a boundary might sound like, I can only meet with you if we stick to the agreed upon time. If someone criticizes or dismisses you, you might say, I'm open to feedback, but I won't engage in conversations where I feel disrespected. What's important is that you remain firm in upholding your boundaries. Some people will test them whether consciously or not. They might ignore your requests, push back, or try to guilt you into compromising. When this happens, it's crucial to stay consistent. Upholding a boundary doesn't mean being harsh or confrontational. It simply means reinforcing your standards calmly and confidently. Boundaries are not just about limiting negative interactions, they also create space for positive growth. By defining what you will not tolerate, you make room for relationships and experiences that align with your values. You invite people who respect and appreciate you into your life, while filtering out those who don't. Boundaries also teach others how to treat you, setting the tone for healthier, more balanced interactions. You'll find that setting boundaries leads to greater self-respect and inner peace. It's not about shutting people out, but about protecting your emotional and mental health. When someone doesn't value you, boundaries are your way of saying, I value myself enough to walk away from anything that diminishes me. They empower you to prioritize your well-being while giving others the opportunity to either rise to the occasion or step aside. Handling rejection with grace and composure is a skill that can transform the way you experience and respond to undervaluation. When someone doesn't value you, it's easy to let emotions like anger, sadness, or resentment take over. These feelings are natural, but how you channel them is what makes the difference. Rising above these emotions doesn't mean suppressing them, it means processing them in a way that empowers you rather than controlling you. Rejection often feels personal, as if it's a reflection of your worth. But the truth is, rejection says more about the other person's perspective, priorities, or limitations than it does about you. Not everyone will understand or appreciate your value, and that's okay. What matters is how you respond. Reacting emotionally by lashing out, begging for their validation, or seeking revenge can undermine your self-respect and leave you feeling worse. Instead, choosing grace allows you to maintain your dignity and demonstrate strength. Grace in the face of rejection means accepting the situation without trying to force a different outcome. It's about recognizing that their lack of appreciation doesn't define you. When you carry yourself with composure, you send a powerful message. Your worth is not contingent on someone else's recognition. You remain grounded, confident, and unshaken, no matter how someone else chooses to see you. This doesn't mean you won't feel hurt. Rejection can sting, especially when it comes from someone you care about or respect. Allow yourself to feel those emotions, but don't let them consume you. Take time to process the experience, journal, meditate, or talk to a trusted friend. Use this as an opportunity for self-reflection. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? These questions shift your focus from the rejection itself to your personal development. One of the most powerful aspects of rising above emotion is that it allows you to take control of your narrative. You are no longer reacting to someone else's actions, you are choosing how to move forward. This might mean distancing yourself from the person who doesn't value you, focusing on your own growth, or surrounding yourself with people who do appreciate you. It's about redirecting your energy toward what truly matters. When you respond with grace, you also leave an impression. People notice how you handle yourself in difficult situations, and your composure speaks volumes about your character. Sometimes your calm reaction can even lead the other person to reconsider their actions or behavior. But even if it doesn't, you've preserved your self-respect and stayed true to yourself. Rejection is not an end, it's a redirection. It's an opportunity to reassess, realign, and move towards something better. By handling it with grace and composure, you rise above the temporary pain and emerge stronger, wiser, and more confident in your value. Rejection may bruise your ego, but it can never diminish your worth unless you let it. Stay grounded, stay composed, and remember your value is not up for debate. When someone doesn't value you, it can feel like a blow to your sense of worth. However, moments like these present a unique opportunity not to dwell on the rejection, but to turn inward and focus on your own growth. Personal growth is one of the most empowering responses to being undervalued because it shifts the narrative from external validation to internal transformation. Instead of trying to win someone's approval, you invest in yourself, becoming stronger, wiser, and more self-assured. Growth begins with reflection. Ask yourself what you've learned from the situation. Did it reveal areas where you've been overextending yourself? Did it highlight a need for stronger boundaries, greater self-awareness, or better decision-making? These insights are gifts, helping you understand where you can improve and how you can avoid similar situations in the future. Growth isn't about blaming yourself for how others treat you, but about using the experience to refine your perspective and strengthen your sense of self. Personal growth often means channeling your energy into areas that enhance your life. Instead of dwelling on someone who doesn't see your worth, focus on developing your skills, talents, and passions. This could mean pursuing a career goal, learning a new skill, improving your physical health, or cultivating a hobby you've always loved. These efforts not only build your confidence, but also remind you that your value is independent of anyone else's opinion. Investing in your growth also shifts your focus from what you can't control, other people's perceptions, to what you can, your actions, mindset, and goals. This empowers you to take ownership of your life. For example, if someone doesn't appreciate your contributions at work, use that as motivation to excel in your field or explore opportunities where your talents will be recognized. If a relationship leaves you feeling undervalued, take that energy and pour it into self-care, friendships, or new connections that uplift you. Growth also involves improving your emotional resilience. Rejection or being undervalued can be emotionally draining, but it doesn't have to define you. Develop practices that help you process and release those feelings in healthy ways, like journaling, mindfulness or therapy. Building emotional resilience helps you navigate future challenges with greater ease and confidence. This focus on growth transforms how you see yourself. You begin to realize that being undervalued by someone else doesn't diminish your worth, it simply redirects your attention to areas where you're better appreciated. You start attracting people and opportunities that align with your newfound confidence and sense of purpose. Choosing growth is a powerful act of self-respect. It says, I'm worth more than this situation, and I'm committed to becoming the best version of myself. When you focus on growth, the opinions of those who don't value you lose their weight. You no longer seek validation from the outside because you've built a solid foundation within. And in the process, you become someone who doesn't just survive rejection, you thrive because of it. Recognizing and valuing those who already appreciate you is a powerful shift in perspective when someone else fails to see your worth. It's easy to become fixated on the people who overlook or undervalue us, but doing so blinds us to the genuine connections already present in our lives. Focusing on those who appreciate you nurtures relationships that uplift and empower you while reinforcing your sense of self-worth. The sting of being undervalued overshadows the warmth of the appreciation you already receive. In moments of rejection or dismissal, we tend to seek validation from the person who withholds it, as if their recognition is the ultimate proof of our value. But true validation doesn't come from chasing after what's missing, it comes from cherishing what's already present. Look around, there are likely people in your life who see your worth clearly and consistently. These may be friends, family, colleagues, or even acquaintances who recognize your contributions, celebrate your successes, and support you unconditionally. When you redirect your energy toward these individuals, you create a cycle of mutual respect and appreciation. By investing in relationships that already honor your value, you strengthen those bonds and enrich your life. These connections become a source of encouragement and inspiration, reminding you that your worth is not dependent on one person's inability to see it. Valuing those who appreciate you doesn't mean ignoring areas where you can grow or avoiding difficult conversations with those who've undervalued you. It simply means prioritizing relationships that align with your sense of self-respect. When you focus on the people who uplift you, you naturally distance yourself from those who don't. This shift often reveals a surprising truth. The energy you've been expending on seeking validation from one person can be far better spent deepening connections with those who already care. Focusing on these supportive relationships helps you cultivate gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to feelings of rejection or inadequacy because it shifts your attention to what you have rather than what you lack. Take time to acknowledge the people who value you and express your appreciation for them. A heartfelt thank you or meaningful gesture can strengthen these connections and remind you of the abundance of support in your life. Recognizing those who already appreciate you also sets a standard for future relationships. It teaches you to gravitate toward people who treat you with kindness, respect, and care. Over time, you'll find yourself naturally choosing relationships that reflect your true worth, while letting go of those that don't. Focusing on the people who value you reinforces an essential truth: your worth isn't up for debate, and it doesn't need to be proven to anyone. When you cherish the love, respect, and appreciation you already receive, you cultivate a sense of fulfillment that no rejection can diminish. It's a reminder that you are enough, and there are people in your life who already know that. Taking the initiative to move forward without seeking closure from someone who doesn't value you is one of the most liberating actions you can take. Closure, while often seen as necessary for emotional healing, is not something everyone will offer you. Waiting for it can trap you in a cycle of frustration, confusion, and dependency on the very person who failed to see your worth in the first place. The truth is, closure is not something someone else gives you, it's something you create for yourself. When you've been undervalued or rejected, it's natural to want answers. You might ask yourself, why didn't they appreciate me, or what did I do wrong? These questions often remain unanswered, not because they're invalid, but because the person who undervalued you may not have the insight or willingness to provide meaningful responses. The pursuit of closure from them can keep you tethered to the hurt, delaying your healing process and preventing you from moving forward. Moving forward without closure begins with accepting the reality of the situation. Acceptance doesn't mean condoning someone's behavior or dismissing your feelings. It means acknowledging what happened without letting it define your self-worth. Acceptance allows you to shift your focus from the why to the what next. Instead of waiting for explanations or apologies, you choose to prioritize your growth, healing, and happiness. Creating your own closure is an empowering act of self-care. It starts with giving yourself permission to let go, even if you don't have all the answers. Letting go doesn't erase the past, but it frees you from being controlled by it. You can choose to forgive, not necessarily for their benefit, but for your peace of mind. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or reconciling. It means releasing the emotional hold the situation has on you. As you move forward, focus on actions that bring you clarity and confidence. Reflect on the lessons the experience has taught you and use them to build a stronger foundation for your future. Recognize your own resilience and the ways you've grown from the situation. Surround yourself with people and activities that affirm your value and bring you joy. These positive influences will help shift your perspective and remind you of what truly matters. Moving forward without closure also means reclaiming your narrative. You are not defined by someone else's inability to value you. By taking ownership of your story, you rewrite it on your terms. You become the author of your life, choosing what you focus on and what you leave behind. Closure is not about getting answers or making sense of someone else's behavior. It's about finding peace within yourself and trusting that you deserve better. When you stop waiting for closure from others, you take back your power. You prove to yourself that you are capable of healing, growing, and thriving no matter what someone else does or doesn't do. Moving forward becomes an act of courage and self-respect, reminding you that your worth is not determined by anyone but you. Life will inevitably bring moments when someone fails to see your worth. But let me remind you, their inability to value you says more about them than it ever will about you. You are not here to beg for respect, to chase after validation, or to prove your worth to anyone who can't recognize it. You are here to grow, to thrive, and to stand firm in the undeniable truth of your value. When someone doesn't value you, remember this: step back and embrace your silence. Set your boundaries with courage and let their actions speak louder than their words. Hold your head high and respond with grace, focusing on the growth and gratitude that will elevate you beyond the pain of rejection. Turn your energy toward those who already celebrate you, and most importantly, find the strength to move forward without waiting for the closure they may never give. Because at the end of the day, you are the architect of your own life, the keeper of your own peace, and the guardian of your own worth. Never let anyone diminish what you bring to this world. Walk with the confidence of knowing that even when someone doesn't value you, you will always value yourself, and that's the only validation you'll ever need. Thank you.